Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right. It's always good. It's always a wonderful opportunity to have the opportunity to speak here at the Community Miracle Center. And I have to admit, it is even a little extra special today because this is actually my last time talking at Community Miracle Center in this space. As all of us know that we will be moving to a new location, and I have to admit I have mixed emotions going on right now, with regards to that aspect of it. I know and I trust that where we're going now is where we're supposed to be at, but I also have a lot of sadness, because there's a lot of amazing memories that the center have brought me, and it's hard. It's definitely, change is not a easy thing, but I know and I trust that we're going in the right place. But I just wanted to acknowledge that I do have some emotions that are coming up for me regarding that aspect of, and especially knowing that this will be my last time actually speaking here in this incredible space that we have. And so today I'm actually going to talk about us embracing our identity. And I know for me, definitely over the years, I've went through my own process of figuring out what my own identity is in so many different, aspects of it. And I know that I'm very grateful and very appreciative of the fact of at least the last, many, many years that the Course of Miracles had a lot to do with that, of me coming to the point where I'm able to accept and embrace who I am regarding this. And this space itself, 2269 Market, has a lot to do with that as well. So I'm just feeling very grateful and very appreciative of that at this moment. So I decided to look up the whole idea of what identity is. So I went to a dictionary just to see what they have to say about identity. And this is what it says. Conditions are characters as to who a person or what a thing is, qualities and beliefs that distinguish our identity as a person or a thing. So, it's really looking at our, different gender identities, our different ethnicity identities, our racial identities, our sexuality identities, our sexual, it's like all these variety different types of identities that we have. And the interesting thing is, as you notice, all the different identities, in essence, it's separation. We identify as we are, but yet it's separation. But yet we know and realize as a course, it's not about us being separated, it's actually about us being, one. So I thought that was very interesting how the definition itself is separation, but, in our minds, it's important to remember us that we actually are one and that we not separate, even though we have our own identities that come along with us. And the other thing is, what's interesting was in psychology, I decided to see what the psychology perspective has on it. Just, that's my background in psychology. And so I looked at that, and it said very similar things. Identity is the qualities, belief, personality, looks, and or expressions that make a person or a group. And the thing that stuck out for me in that aspect of it is the expression. It's about how we go about expressing ourselves. That is a part of how our identity is, and that's where that actually, comes from. And I know for me that this has been a journey, throughout my life of trying to figure out who I am. It's a constant journey that I know that will continue, throughout, as long as I'm in this world. And I'm pretty sure, for us here in this room, that we also go through our journey, and we all continue to figure out who we are at different stages in our lives, in our path. And, and that's just a part of the way things are in this world regarding that aspect of it. And the thing is that I'm learning is what we have to do when we are getting to the point where we're discovering all these variety of different types of identities that we have is we can't run away from it. There's a particular reason each time why things are coming up for us. Each time is why we're trying to figure out how to identify ourselves, but we just can't run away. We have to allow ourselves to stay there, embrace it, and move forward towards it. The Course says this: what have you done that this should be your world? What have you done that this is what you see? I think this is a good question. It's something, important for us to, ask ourselves, as we take the moment and reflect on our lives and to see what have we done regarding our identity. How do we see ourselves? What is that, about? And I know for me, part of it is allowing myself to move forward, allowing myself to go whichever direction that is meant for me to go with who I am at that moment. That is, part of it, for me. To not allow myself to let the struggles that do exist to hold me back. To not let my fear get in my way of identifying who I am. That is what I have to look at, and that's the way I have to see things. And to get to the point where I do accept each and every aspect of who I am. Deny your own identity, and this is what remains. If we deny who we are, I believe what's happening is we are not participating in this world. In order for us to be able to do our part, it is important that we allow ourselves to participate by not denying who we are. Because when we're doing that, we're holding back. And that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to actually give, to put it out there. I recognize that could be a challenge. And so I took a moment to reflect on all my different identities. And one of the areas that I want to, mention is being gay. And what's that about? And how I got to the point in my life where I had to accept the fact that that's who I am. This is the path that was set for me. I recognize that it was a struggle, not only for me, but for a lot of individuals in my community, or lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community, to be able to come to terms with that. It is reminding me of this movie that I went to go see a few weeks ago. It was called Moonlight. It was a gay movie, specifically tailored towards African American, and what it had to do with was these two individuals where you was able to see their life from when they were younger to teenagers to older, as they got older as adults, and to see what they were going through and to understand the complexity that exists when someone is trying to come to terms with their own identity. And the interesting thing about that, and one of the things I found very fascinating about the movie, besides it being very inspiring, very emotional, even though I saw it twice, which I don't know why I saw it twice. After the first time it was already wrecked me, and then I wound up going to see it again, because it was just a very inspiring story. And the thing about it is, though, even though these individuals had support, and they had people letting them know that it was okay, it still was hard for them to accept who they were. And that's the thing, it's like, even though we have the resources, it's our own inner doubts in us that prevents us from, living that. And that reminded me of how I was at that stage in my life when I first came out. Yes, I recognize I was very fortunate to have a lot of support when I came out. I was a 19-year-old kid coming to San Francisco to discover my identity. I was fortunate that I got involved with a gay youth organization at that time, to help me to come to terms with that. Yet, even with all that resources, I still had my own inner doubt in myself. I was not ready to embrace and to accept my identity at this point. I also recognize that I was very fortunate that I have a family that accepted me. I know that is not the case for a lot of people. Having that support was an amazing gift that I got. But the one thing during my coming out process, and trust me, it was not easy. And I understand that each and every one of us have our own stories regarding coming out for people who does identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. And we all have our own stories and our own path. And I get that and I understand that and recognize that. Same with me. You know, I had my own struggles. The interesting thing though, during my coming out process, the one thing that I will always remember that I would cherish is when my father found out that I was gay. As I mentioned, my sister and them, my brothers and them, they were very supportive. There was, you know, no doubt about that. And so, as you guys know, I play softball, and we travel to different softball tournaments, and we've always traveled to Southern California to play in tournaments. And it was just a wonderful sight to see my family there, to watch me, you know, play softball and just come out and support. And it was just a beautiful sight, a memory that I will always cherish. And so what happened was my father decided to visit all his kids, because at that time he was living in Mississippi, and so he was visiting my siblings in Southern California, and he happened to be visiting around the time that I had a softball tournament. And so my siblings let me know, by the way, Dad's going to be coming to the softball tournament. And at this point, I was not out to him. So they all knew, but he actually did not know. And I know that I was a little nervous because I know that my dad had made a lot of homophobic comments growing up. So I was like, okay, great, he's coming to this softball tournament where it's a gay tournament, and I'm like, how in the heck he's going to react? So I asked my sister to check in and see how he would feel about, you know, gay people, what that's going to be like and all that stuff. Well, my sister and her wonderful faction, what she decided to do is say, oh, by the way, Vincent's gay. So Steph actually just tried to get a feel of it. She just told him. And the thing is, he was very accepting of it. But the key thing about that is that once he knew, we became closer. We became closer to one another. And the thing that made me realize was that it was not about him. It was me. I was holding back who I was, and that's the distance that we had. That was the barrier. The minute I allowed myself to be me, our relationship was incredible. He came to visit me and Reverend Peter and stayed with us in our home. That's a remarkable gift. And that is when we accept part of our own identity of who we are. Deny your own identity and you will not escape the madness which induced this weird, unnatural, and ghostly thought which mocks creation and which laughs at God. We can no longer afford to deny our own identity, and each and every one of us just need to just take the time and to be able to get to the point that we trust every aspect of us, no matter how challenging it may be. And as you guys know, one of the things that I've also been constantly working on is accepting myself as a Black African American man, and what that means and what that is about. I recognize that I had my own internalized racism within myself that I had to deal with. But I was fortunate that I had such an amazing support around me to allow me to develop and to evolve of who I am. Yes, it was a painful process. Yes, it is still painful at times. I know, and I'm aware of where I'm at now, of how rewarding it is to be able to go through that process and not run away from it. Deny your own identity, and you excel in the universe alone, without a friend, a tiny particle of dust against the legions of your enemies. We cannot do this alone. And the fact is, whenever we try to do things alone, it does not work out. In order for us to get to the point where we embrace and accept who we are, we need to allow ourselves to have the support of people around us. Each and every one of us here today is very fortunate that we study a spiritual practice that helps us get through this. We can ask Holy Spirit to guide us in every aspect of our lives. That's an incredible gift that we have. And the more important gift I think we have is that we have each other. We can rely on one another to help us to accept who we are. I know for me, you guys have given me the great gift to be able to accept what it's like to be a black African American man and to be able to support me in that. It's a gift that I know I would cherish, and I know each and every one of us has the opportunity to also develop our own identity. And that is one of the beauties of the Community Miracle Center. We've set and manifested to the point where all of us have our identity and we bring it together as a collective. That is absolutely remarkable. And that's just something that I'm continuing to remember and recognize. I also am fortunate that either once a month or once every other month, it all depends on our schedule, that I have this group of incredible other black gay men where we get together to have dinner to help support each other. Because we recognize the struggles that we all go through. But in those moments, we get to sit around, laugh, do crazy things in a space where we feel comfortable. To get to the point where we all accepting ourselves as black gay men. That is an incredible, incredible gift that I know I have. And that is the reason why we can't do things alone. It is crucial that we always utilize the resources that we have in each stages of our lives as we become even more and more comfortable with our own identity. Yes, I am a black gay man, but it's because of the support and the love and the resources that I have that is allowing me to be who I am, to accept that fully. It's given me the opportunity to be able to talk about issues regarding race, to be able to take on a dissertation where I will be looking at internalized racism and how intense that is going to be. It is because I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm accepting who I am and I'm healing my own mind regarding all those doubts and fears that I had in my head, and trying to let go of the ego that continues to try to ingrate into my mind. Deny your own identity and look on evil, sin, and death, and watch despair snatch from your fingers every scrap of hope, leaving you nothing but the wish to die. This is an intense message from the Course. It is clearly telling us we cannot deny who we are anymore. It cannot happen. We are all as God created us, how Spirit created us. And it is time that we allow ourselves to move forward. It is time for us to not run away anymore. And for me, because I accepted who I was, it allowed me also to develop professionally. And when I think about professional identity, I think of it in a holistic way. It is whether I'm working at the health department. It is whether I am doing psychology work. It is whether me being a commissioner of an amazing gay softball league, whether it is about me accepting my path as a spiritual leader. That is all a part of who I am as a person. That is my identity. That is the gift that God gave me to utilize all that aspect of my life and bring it out into this world. I have the opportunity to do amazing work regarding HIV and AIDS in the African American community, to lay out all the variety of different types of health disparities that exist. I have the opportunity to be able to utilize my psychology background to get a better understanding and grasp of individuals, because my passion is to be able to help individuals, to help guide them. That is my purpose. And to be able to accept that and not to be afraid of it. Our ego mind is so powerful and so manipulative that we have to constantly be able to fight that and not let it interfere of who we are and what we are supposed to do. I am a spiritual leader. I am a reverend. I'm a minister. And to embrace that and not to be afraid of that. I will be a doctor. Dr. Vincent Fuqua. Who would have thought? It's part of my identity. It's a part of who I am. And I would have never ever been able to get to this point in my life if I did not accept me being black and I did not accept me being gay. Because those are two huge part of who I am. But let's today's idea find a place among your thoughts, and you have risen far above the world and all the worldly thoughts that hold its prisoner. And from this place of safety and escape, you will return and set it free. For he who can accept his true identity is truly saved and amazing. Each and every one of us are an amazing individuals. We just have to get to the point where we truly accept our purpose, our identity, and who we are. Because that is what our purpose is in this life, and that is the gift that each and every one of us has. So no more denying who we are. Let's embrace it, let's love it, and let's move forward. And that's my talk.